Gateway Church, that was founded by Pastor Robert Morris in 2000, had been going through the toughest season since its founding. In mid-June 2024, Cindy Clemshire had an interview with a blog that exposed Pastor Robert for molesting her when she was just 12 years old in the 80s. This led to the resignation of Pastor Robert as the senior pastor of Gateway Church after Cindy proved that Robert had been lying to his congregation through the years. In his confession, he said he had engaged in an inappropriate behavior with a young woman. What many people didn't know was that what he was referring to a young woman was a 12-year-old child. Robert Morris resigned 1 year before his retirement date, and his younger son James Morris, planned to succeed him, is now in shambles majorly because of Robert's 35-year-old sin, which has affected every plan he had for James and Gateway Church. Another reason is that James Morris also decided to resign as a pastor at Gateway. Remember, the law firm that was hired to investigate the truth of what happened between Robert and Cindy had recommended for James to take a temporary leave of absence until the inquiry was complete. Now, Gateway Church elders announced on Thursday afternoon that Max Lucado will be the interim teaching pastor as a replacement for Robert Morris. They also announced that Pastor Joakim Lundqvist will be taking a more pastoral role with the staff as a replacement for James Morris. Lucado, who is a best-selling author and the current pastor at Oak Hills Church in San Antonio, has since addressed the rumor, which was yet to be announced officially at Gateway Church, with this statement he shared on his social media pages. The statement said, "Hello friends. Beginning this weekend, I am going to serve as an interim teaching pastor at Gateway Church in Southlake, Texas. Scripture states that God is near the brokenhearted, and there are ample numbers of brokenhearted people in this story. My desire is simply this: love God's hurting people. I see this as an opportunity to do just that. It has been erroneously reported that I am no longer at Oak Hills Church in San Antonio. Be assured, I am still a minister in my home church where I have been since 1988. I will preach in both locations this fall. My role at Gateway is only in the interim teaching capacity, currently scheduled through the end of 2024. I will have no leadership or administrative role. I'm honored to serve both congregations where so many wonderful people attend. Signed, Max." This statement by Max clarifies some of the information that was being shared, that he is a former pastor at Oak Hill and was taking a permanent teaching role at Gateway Church. Max Lucado, who has been a frequent speaker at Gateway Church, gave a sermon on the second week of July after Joyce Meyer, who was scheduled to speak on that weekend, canceled. In his sermon, Max encouraged the congregation with a sermon titled, "You Will Get Through This," using the story of Joseph and the despair he went through after being stuck in a pit and sold into slavery by his brothers. The inspirational message to the congregants of Gateway Church, Max Lucado gave them hope in the middle of the darkness. You'll get through this. It won't be painless. It won't be quick. But God will use this mess for good. In the meantime, don't be foolish or naive. But don't despair either. With God's help, you will get through this, Lucado told Gateway in the message. God gave Joseph dreams of what his future would be like. He gave him insight and vision into the promise of someday being in the position of a ruler over his brothers, something they despised him for. They hated Joseph and wanted to rid him of their lives, which threw Joseph into a sequence of unprecedented circumstances that he never saw coming. Joseph didn't see this coming, did he? Lucado asked. The attack caught him off guard, and so did yours. Joseph's pit came in the form of cistern. Yours came in the form of a what? A diagnosis? A foster home? Betrayed loyalty? Joseph was thrown into a pit and despised. Lucado continued. Some people never get out. It's not easy to get out of a pit. There's no easy exit. Joseph's story, if you know, it got worse before it got better. Just like Joseph, the uncovering of the child sexual abuse of former Gateway Church senior pastor, Robert Morris, against Cindy Clemisher has hit this church in the most unimaginable way. As more details arise, the situation for the church appears to have gotten worse instead of better. How did he flourish during a tough time, during a hard season, during an uphill walk? Lucado asked. He said this to his brothers, "As for you, you meant evil against me, but God meant it for good in order to bring about this present result, to preserve many people alive." Keeping faith during difficult seasons is not only painful and sometimes confusing, but like Joseph, it is about realizing that God uses all things for His glory. No matter the season or the struggle Gateway Church is in right now, He can use it for the good of every single congregant who calls it their home church. I will leave you with a snippet of that sermon at the end of this video. There is an illustration he shared that really blessed my heart. We hope and pray that Max will help Gateway people navigate through this season even as they look for a permanent replacement. Do you think Max will fit in Robert's shoes? Let's engage at the comment section. Also remember to like this video and subscribe to this channel. God bless you and see you in my next update.
Romans 8:28. We know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose. God promises to render beauty out of all things, not the individual thing, but all things. We see examples of this in our own lives. How many of you enjoy a cup of coffee when you wake up in the morning? Boy, I do. Dylan and I, that's our favorite thing to do in the morning. I can hardly, when I wake up, the first thing I think is, oh boy, coffee. And I stumbled into the room where we have the coffee machine, and there's all the ingredients. And when I take a drink of that first cup of coffee, I say, oh, that's what? Oh, that's good. That's good stuff right there. Now, what am I saying? Am I saying that the coffee filters are good? That I'm just going to eat a coffee filter and call that good? That I might have some coffee beans and just chew on them for a little bit and say, boy, that's good stuff right there. No? What about that the pot in which the coffee is served, is it good? No, not necessarily. It's not the individual things, it's them mixed together at the right temperature, according to the right ingredients level, in the right way. It's bringing them all together in the collective cooperation that creates the good. This is the promise of Scripture. Nothing in Scripture would ever suggest that a famine is good. Nothing in Scripture would ever suggest that a heart attack is good or a terrorist attack is good. These are all manifestations of a fallen nature of humanity. They're terrible calamities. Yet the promise of Scripture, every message of the Bible, especially the story of Joseph, compels us to believe that God will mix all these things together. He'll mix them together in the right way, until someday, believe it or not, you'll say, you know, it's good. It's good. So can I urge you? Just do what Joseph did. Keep God in the center of your struggle.